Australia has suffered further embarrassment over its carbon emission goals this week, with a senior member of the US Biden administration calling us out. Jonathan Pershing is deputy to President Biden's climate envoy, John Kerry. And speaking at a conference this week, he said it would be helpful if Australia increased its emission reduction goals. Mr. Pershing said Australia's current 2030 target had been overtaken by events and that we should step forward with a more ambitious effort.
Those that have not yet moved, they too have to deliver. The world can't tolerate virtually half of the global economy not participating in an aggressive emissions trajectory.
Speaking at the same conference, the former United Nations chief, Ban Ki-moon, said Australia was out of step with the rest of the world on climate change. Mr. Ban said Australia's current goal of 26 to 28% on 2005 levels by 2030 and the absence of a national zero emissions target is out of step with its states, its trading partners and other comparable nations. Now, internationally, Australia's major trading partners, including Japan, South Korea and China, have all agreed to mid-century net zero targets.
Nicholas!
And as the release of the IPCC report last week made very clear, climate change is happening far more quickly than we previously thought and has robbed the world of 10 years to take action. And in the face of this, our Prime Minister remains steadfast that Australia is doing all it can and that the problem somehow lies with other countries.
How many editorials are you doing today?
COVID-19 and Slomo on climate action. That is our Prime Minister, Rita.
I don't even know where to start with that. One, who the hell cares what some Biden administration lackey is saying about Australia's emission targets? This is a country that completely got blindsided by Afghanistan, whose intelligence is so bloody poor they didn't know that the country was going to be overrun by 2 days. They've lost control of their southern border. They've got an energy crisis of their own making, which they didn't have in the previous 8 years, or 12 years, I should say. And they've got a massive inflation issue. So I don't know why we'd be looking at getting hints from John Kerry and co, particularly John Kerry, who swans around in a private jet whilst lecturing the world about climate change. And then did you actually say China? China's committed to a target?
Zero net emissions by mid-century. Yep.
And you believe China? You believe China, who are building massive coal-fired plants as we speak, hundreds of them? You believe their targets? You believe they're going to actually hurt themselves economically to achieve any of these targets? No, seriously, Nicholas, on that point, are you saying you believe China and you believe they will live up to their commitment?
Well, I do think that China gets too much of a free pass under the current global rules, and I think they need to be toughened in China's case. But I do think that China is genuine in its commitment to reaching net zero emissions by mid-century, because they know that that's the way that the world is going, and that's why it's beyond comprehension that Australia would not sign up to a target as well. But, I mean, talk about head in the sand, Rita. You've got your head in the sand if you think that the rest of the world is not rounding on us on this issue. The European Union have already said that they're going to put tariffs on countries who haven't signed up to emissions targets.
They're not going to do that.
US Democrats are considering the same thing. And looking at this senior person from the Biden administration speaking this week, the Biden administration is going to move in that direction as well. So if we don't take action,
you sound hysterical, Nicholas. Why don't you go and join Extinction Rebellion and start burning prams at Parliament House? Because that's where those arguments belong. And please don't compare us to Europe. Many countries in Europe have the benefit of...
biggest economic bloc in the world, United States.
Can I finish the sentence? Because I wasn't talking about their size or their influence. I was talking about the fact that European countries, many of them, have access to nuclear power. How much of France's energy comes from nuclear power? A great deal. Let's look at Sweden. Even the UK, I think it's around 20% there. So let's compare apples with apples. We're in a very different situation.